up, YouTube? Hey guys, welcome back to the Citrus Fam. Today I have a special guest. This is my mom, Mona.
My YouTube debut, yay!
I think you guys have seen her just kind of in the background on previous videos, but today she is here to help me because we are redoing our kitchen.
Woohoo!
We'll walk you through a little bit of just kind of the idea that we have, but whenever we first moved into the house, one of the biggest things that I did not like is our cabinets. They have actually grown on me only because they are the original wood cabinets and they are very solid, they're huge, they do go all the way to the ceiling if you can see. So there's plenty of room inside of them. You can see right here, but they do go all the way to the top. But they're just very dark. It is a small space, but for a small space it does hold a lot. So we're just going to try and do the best we can as far as, if you could see, they have the, I'm pretty sure these are like the original hardware on the hinges and on the handles. So we're just going to do our best to do a little bit of updating. We're going to paint everything white so that it just looks bigger and brighter. And this is definitely going to be a video that we're going to be doing over the next several days, so we're just going to take you guys along as we do some updates and kind of show you what we're doing and give you some ideas of maybe what you can do in your kitchens. Well, that took us probably close to 2 hours, but everything is off. We did have to take the full drawers out just because the faces are attached to the drawers, but it is done. And now we're gonna take them over to the garage and start painting. Whew, that's a lot of work. Alright you guys, so we have all of the boards that are laid out here in my parents' garage, and basically the process that we are going to use before we can start painting is we are going to rub everything down with, it's called denatured alcohol, and basically it will get all of the very many years of grime and dirt off of them. Then we are going to sand them down just to get the top finish coat off, and then take some wood filler and fill in all of the little holes. If you can see, we've just got a whole bunch of holes from where the hardware was in for so long, but then we're gonna give everything just a little bit more of a sand just to make sure everything is even. Then we're gonna sand everything again, paint them white, and apply the new hardware. So we have a lot of work ahead of us over the next couple days, so stay tuned to see the results. So we are here for day 2 of refinishing the kitchen cabinets. So yesterday we wiped everything down with the alcohol just to try and get the surface stains off. Today we have already started filling in the holes from the hardware that was on them. Previously, everything was on the front of the doors, and the hardware that we are going to be replacing them with, actually all of the screws go into the back of the doors, so the surfaces of everything will be filled in and painted so that you can't see any of the signs of the hardware from the previous time. We'll just bring you guys along as we continue to fill in everything and sand it, and we'll show you what the next step is.
I know sanding can be a really tedious process, but it is really important to knock off the top coat finish and any buildup that is accumulated over the years to make sure we have exposed wood to give our paint a good foundation to adhere to. Also make sure you're hitting those edges really well as they have the most oil buildup because they're the part that's handled the most. Unless you're using an orbital sander, please make sure you're going with the wood grain or you could really damage your cabinet surfaces. Lastly, make sure that you are sanding the front and the back of your cabinet doors because we will be painting both sides.
So we are finally to the best part of redoing cabinets, and that is the painting process, because we get to see all of our beautiful work come together. The only thing that I would recommend when you're choosing a paint is, so this one specifically says cleanup is just soap and water, and if your kitchen is anything like mine, it gets messy quick. So you just want something that you're going to be able to wipe off and clean multiple times without messing up your finish. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to start with the primer, let it set for a while, and then we'll get started on the paint coat.
Is there anything more therapeutic than watching someone paint? I don't think so. So I started with the drawers and then moved on to painting the doors. I had done a lot of research as to whether or not I really needed a primer, and from what I found, most people said no. However, I wanted to make sure that all the patchwork and the holes that we had covered up from the previous hardware was well covered, so I opted for a primer and am extremely glad that I did, because this wood took a whole lot of coats. I used the Zinsser water-based primer. I just got it at Lowe's and used a foam cabinet roller to apply to the flat surfaces, and then just a small brush to apply on the edges. Make sure to let the primer dry at least 30 minutes before adding a second coat, and let that dry a couple hours or even overnight like I did before you add the paint. For the paint, I used Valspar cabinet and furniture paint and a satin finish. Another reason to use primer is that cabinet paint is very expensive, more than twice the price of what the primer costs, so I chose to save some money by doing more coats of the primer and less of the actual paint. I ended up doing one coat on the back and 2 coats of the paint on the front, and everything covered really well.
So I wanted to show you guys this really fast. You can see kind of right here where you have the full board, and then you can see kind of some bubbles where it looks like the paint is not covering. Generally that means that there was oil or grease or something like that on the board and it just is having a hard time sticking to it. You can get it to stick. Give it a good coat of paint all over the top of the surface and then let it dry for a couple minutes, and you're going to specifically hit those spots, and you're just going to keep coating it with paint. So again, do this, let it dry for a couple minutes. Don't worry about it being thicker in those areas because you are trying to cover it with paint, and we are going to do another layer, so just keep adding it there. And I did have the same thing over on this board, and I've already added a couple layers, and you can see where it's finally starting to cover. So hopefully it won't show up whenever we're done with the full coat, but everything's looking good.
When you are excitedly coming to the end of painting all your cabinet doors, remember that you still have to sand and paint all your frames. I used small pieces of fine sandpaper and hand sanded the frames. Yes, you heard me right, hand sanded, because I did not want to have everything in my house covered in sanding dust. Then I used the paintbrush to do most of the priming and the painting because there were just so many small corners. Tyler used the roller to hit the larger spots. This is definitely the most tedious part for sure, but unfortunately just part of the process.
Alright friends, it is very exciting because I have finally finished painting all of the cabinet doors. They have dried over the last couple of days. We just showed you a clip that we sanded and finished painting all of the frames as well. So we are now moving on to hardware. So I just wanted to show you a little bit. I'm going to be really honest that it is not perfect, but it does look exceptionally better than what it did, which was the main goal that we were going for. So just know that when you're redoing old cabinets, it's probably not going to be perfect, but it's going to look better. So this is the handle that we are going with, and It's going to be mounted here. I think the black with the white just looks so clean and updated. And I did want to show you specifically with my cabinets, which is probably pretty similar for a lot of old cabinets. So if you look at the edge right here, it's actually what's called an inset cabinet. So this is going to be the inside of the cabinet, and this is going to be the cabinet face that you're seeing. So whenever you close the cabinet door, it actually insets to the frame of the cabinet. And this requires a special kind of hinge that's more of an old-fashioned type. And if you can see, let me lay this board down really quick. And I'm telling you this just because I was a little bit confused whenever I was buying the hinge. So this is going to be on the exterior where you can still see it on the cabinet. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's going to be on the exterior. And then inside here, it actually has where it's beveled to be able to sit inside that insert of a hinge. So I'll show you what it's actually going to look like. So when it lays flat onto the door and then actually bevels to be able to inlay with the cabinet. One other thing that makes it a little bit easier to know whenever you're rehanging the hinges is we specifically left, if you can see this hole, there were magnets that actually, whenever you close the door, it keeps the cabinet doors from swinging back open. We left all these holes because we're still reusing the same magnets, so that is really helpful when you're deciding, when you're re-putting the doors back on and deciding which way on which side the hinge is supposed to go. So we know that this side was the side that when you close it, it's going to connect with that magnet, so the hinge is going to go on this side. But we will show you a little bit of just the process of how we are reapplying the hinges and move on from there. Okay, y'all, so sorry about the lighting, but we are in a garage, so we'll just do the best that we can. So specifically, the face of this cabinet is down. This is going to be the part that is actually inside when you close the door. The hole for the magnet is over on this side, so we're going to put our hinges specifically on this side. So for the longer cabinets, because we do have some that are really long, we were doing 5 inches. For this one, I might do 4 inches just because it's a little bit smaller. You measure out 4 inches on your tape measure, lay it here, and this is going to be flat side down because again, this is the inside and our hinge is going to show just a little bit on the outside. So here we are specifically measuring out 4 inches. And we're just trying to basically get as close as we possibly can, but I'm going to just take a pencil and draw the holes, and we're going to do the same on the other side, and Tyler is going to drill the holes for me, and I'm going to keep measuring and just have them ready as he gets to them. So I'm just going to show you guys really quick how we're going to do the handles on these. So this is the type of handle that whenever you put it on, the screw is actually going to go up from the bottom. So we have to use a drill bit to screw a hole all the way through so that we can screw the hole from the back to the front. So this is not at all a professional way how to do it, but I'm just going to show you how I'm personally doing it. So I'm taking a L-shaped ruler. I'm doing 2 inches off of the edge of the board, and I'm doing it, these are beveled, so I'm doing it from the line of the top, and then 3 inches from the bottom, which is what our ruler here is going to do. So with my measuring tape, I'm doing 2 inches again from this line right here on the top, 2 inches on both sides. That's good. So, and then I'm putting my handle right in the middle of the 3 inch. So it's going to cut right through the middle of the 3 inch on my ruler here. So one of the easiest ways that you can do this is put a little bit of weight on it, and you're just going to slowly rock the handle back and forth. So we are looking to get an indent of just a circle And you can still see a little bit of where we had the previous hardware, but hopefully the one on it now is going to cover that up. And then we are going to, you can see where it left the little indent of the hole, and we're going to draw a tiny little X with our pencil right here, so that when you take the drill bit, you drill all the way through, and it should cause the screws on the back side to line up directly with the front. I could not be happier with the way that everything turned out. I think it all came together really cohesively, and I love the white and the black. It just makes everything look larger and so much cleaner. It was definitely very time consuming and a challenge, but I could not have asked for a better result. So this is definitely the best part of the kitchen. We were able to add a full another countertop area to the kitchen, and also, yay, we finally have a dishwasher. Well, thank you guys so much for coming along with this process. It was long and tedious, but it was an incredible result, and I'm very glad that we did it. We added some excellent much needed space, and I'm so excited to now have a dishwasher. You have no idea. This is definitely a really easy way to take an old, outdated kitchen and really give it new life and update everything. We did the entire process for about $800. I'll leave everything that we used in the description link down below. But thank you guys so much for coming along as we completely transformed our kitchen. I hope that it was encouraging and informative to you. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and maybe a comment about when you redid your kitchen, and let me know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.